4 IUs at once is a complete waste. And one thing I should say is I 100% agree with lipolysis being a huge factor to your GH being useful or not in a lipolytic context. Like if you're fasted, the effects GH is going to have on fat mobilization in regards to what you're actually burning during your cardio session or your training session, if you're fasted versus not fasted, it definitely matters. Like that, he's definitely correct on. However, as far as the amount at once, there's a ceiling on lipolysis, which he's not accounting for here. And it's much lower than most people think. And this is why a lot of people are putting unnecessary stress on themselves and wasting money and taking too much GH. As you can see here in the following study assessing the pharmacokinetics and acute lipolytic actions of GH, there were significant dose response effects when comparing the incremental area under the curve of both free fatty acids and blood 3-hydroxybutyrate following 0, 1, and 3 micrograms per kilogram of GH administration, whereas there were no differences between the responses following 3 and 6 micrograms per kilogram of GH. So these dosages were administered intravenous. So as far as what milligrams equate to in international units, 1 milligram of somatropin corresponds to 3 IU international units of somatropin. You can see this reinforced in the Norditropin product information pamphlet, or their product information form that they include. So this means that for somebody who weighs 100 kilograms, for example, lipolysis is maxed out at about 300 micrograms of somatropin, which is 0.9 IUs of pharma-grade GH IV. So we need to math out the corresponding subcutaneous dose based on bioavailability and bioactivity comparison data that we have on humans administered HGH, because obviously IV dosages are not representative of what dosages would be via a far more realistic and tolerable method of administration, which is the subcutaneous route. So in one study, the mean estimated availability of subcutaneous injected HGH was shown to be 63% of HGH administered IV after correcting for the differences in the GH dose. Another study found the availability of subcutaneous injected HGH to be about 70% of that of HGH administered IV. So for a 100 kilogram man, like the, very simple example here for, especially in a bodybuilder context, fat loss benefits would be maxed out around 1.5 IU of HGH administered subcutaneously. And that's without even getting into how much of a refractory period cells need before another pulse of exogenous GH can even be useful in a lipolysis context, which I've covered in the past and will probably cover more specifically in a future video.